this because, you know, I could share Jensen's story. And God was like, no, that's his story. It's not your story anymore. You're right, I'm in the wilderness and I can't do that. I've spent the last week praying because I don't know how to be vulnerable and to be open. Most of everybody knows Jensen's story. And God got us through that season for sure, and he gets all the praise for that. But what they don't know is all the other stuff that happened during that. When we moved away, we had to leave Charlie and Jack. And Charlie developed severe like separation anxiety after we got back home. And my daughter is just like her mama. We don't have a flight mode, we have fight mode. And she fought, like she would fight teachers and principals and us and SROs she wasn't going to school, you know, like she had to be homeschooled the rest of her kindergarten year. She had to have counseling and we had to help her get through, you know, her emotions from all of this. Jack, he chose to stay here. He's in sports and we understood that, but he had to live with a dad that he's only had an every other weekend relationship with for 14 years, you know. That was hard for him and me. I have been stuck. I didn't process any of this. I had to be strong. I had to be the strong mom, you know, the strong wife. I had to be strong. I couldn't process any of this while it was happening. So last year I was like, oh, I told Taylor I'm going on a journey this year. I'm working on me. I'm going to process all of this. And halfway through the year, we were busy, things happen. I hadn't processed anything. And 4 months ago, I had a nervous breakdown, legitimately, mentally broken. Quit my job, looked at my husband and told him that while I didn't have thoughts of harming myself, I didn't want to be here anymore. Like they would all be fine without me. And it was just in a bad place. And I have a wonderful husband who immediately, with Ron and Lacey, they all got me help, you know, got me into counseling, and I've been in counseling for the last 4 months and went to my doctor, you know, tried to figure out the physical part of it, you know, all the labs and all that work. But this week, I've been praying, like, how do I share my story? How do I share this? Because I don't know what to talk about. God and I have this way of talking to each other, just like I talk to you, you know, like he was just like, well, you're mad at me, so just tell him you're mad at me. You were diagnosed with PTSD 4 months ago because your best friend is fighting for her life for the same cancer that your kid just had. And you're mad at me, and I am. And then your son looks at you and asks if his cancer can come back because she was in remission for 3 years. And like, how do you respond to that? I was able to respond to that though, because the day that Jensen was diagnosed, God told me that he fought that battle. That battle's been won. He doesn't have to worry about it. So I could, with very much confidence, tell my kid that, hey, no, you're done. You know, this isn't coming back for you. I didn't realize how much trauma, like just her journey and her battle was having, how much of an effect it was having on me. It wasn't until Sunday when God was like, you've been in the wilderness a long time. You don't have to be here anymore. And if you don't get out of it, your kids are going to be in it. And you don't want your kids there. I don't want my kids in the wilderness for 40 years. I want to get out of the wilderness so that someday when Jensen's ready to give his testimony, he can do so confidently. And he can tell how God got him through his battle, how he never lost his hair because he asked God that he wouldn't, and the doctors couldn't understand why. And I don't want my oldest to question his worth ever because of somebody who was supposed to love him unconditionally and didn't. I want him to know that he's a child of God and he's strong and confident, and I want my daughter to know that. I want them all to have that confidence, to go out in the world with that confidence, that God-given confidence that they are not their trials, they are not their trauma that they experience, they are none of that, they are above that. And so I'm fighting to get out of the wilderness. My name is Cassie Wallace, and through the wilderness I am learning how to be faithful and vulnerable and to just ask for help.